Grandma, this is Anna.
Logan, my grandson, brought a woman named Anna. She was a pale-faced, quiet-looking woman who greeted me with a gentle smile, perhaps out of nervousness. I quickly ushered them into the house. For the meeting, Logan had brought her along, and my daughter-in-law, Rachel, was in a good mood, asking them how they had gotten to know each other.
Mom, please serve them some tea quickly.
Rachel, who had been in a good mood just minutes before, was now visibly upset. The first thing Logan mentioned to his parents was that Anna was pregnant. I was so shocked that I lost my voice. Rachel showed some displeasure at the fact that the two were having a shotgun wedding.
We really want to make this work.
We may be immature, but please allow us to marry.
The two were earnestly seeking marriage approval from his parents. Being the grandmother, I felt it was unnecessary to comment and watched silently, but I was moved by their attitude. However, Rachel made a blatantly displeased face and waved her hand in front of her own face.
Shotgun weddings are so tacky. Just because there's a baby doesn't mean you have to marry. Right, Mom?
Suddenly addressed, I let out an "what?" as Rachel turned a sarcastic smile towards me. Well, indeed, just because there's a baby doesn't necessarily mean you have to marry. Logan's face fell for a moment. I expected that reaction. But you two are trying to move forward because of the baby. After all, it's something Logan and Anna decided together. It's not something anyone else can oppose. Rachel, shouldn't we be supporting Logan and Anna? Rachel drained her coffee mug in one gulp.
Mom, please prepare some more coffee.
She handed me the cup, crossed her arms, and sighed.
Well, opposing it is probably pointless anyway. So when exactly are you planning the wedding?
Oh, we want to do it soon, considering Anna's condition.
I see. So for us, it's like finally taking a break from parenting.
Rachel said this thoughtfully, then turned to face me in the kitchen.
We're going to be living with family from now on, so can our unwanted housekeeper please leave?
Excuse me. Rachel's abrupt words left her husband John stunned, and both Logan and Anna were left with their mouths open in surprise. What should I do now? My name is Catherine. I'm a 70-year-old grandma. I live in a two-generation household with my only son, John, and his wife, Rachel. Although it may seem happy from the outside, I have been feeling down since my husband passed away a few years ago. Rachel, John's wife, is a strong-minded woman who speaks her mind immediately. Our relationship isn't bad, but I often feel being used by her. When Rachel goes out with friends, she expects me to do the laundry and even asks me to drive her to the station. Rachel seems to think that living in a two-generation household is her way of showing filial piety. Contrary to my desire for a quiet life after my husband's death, I find myself in a complicated situation.
Come on, get up now.
Rachel's near-screeching voice echoes from the bedroom for Logan and Anna. Oh boy, she seems to be in a bad mood again today. Last night, John worked late, and despite it being a weekend, she woke him up at the usual time to get ready to go out. I tried to speak quietly when I bumped into John in the bathroom. John, are you okay?
I'm fine. I got about 5 hours of sleep.
John smiled gently at me through the mirror while wiping his face with a towel. I've been worried because John has looked pale recently. Despite my concerns, my husband would reassure me he was fine while working, until one day he suddenly collapsed and passed away. That memory was always in my mind, and if possible, I wished to let him rest on his days off. From afar, I could hear loud footsteps. When Rachel appeared in the bathroom, she frowned and made a clearly displeased expression.
How long are you washing your face? Hurry up, I'll be late for my meeting with my friends.
Sorry. I'll change right away.
John, being timid, quickly left the scene to change his clothes. Meanwhile, Rachel turned her gaze to me and handed over a note she was holding.
Mom, this is the shopping list for today.
Okay, got it. Have fun with your friends.
The weather seems nice today. Please open the window down and vacuum.
Rachel left without waiting for my reply. After watching her brazen departure, I let out a heavy sigh. Even when my husband was alive, Rachel had always been a woman who spoke her mind to us. At the beginning of our living together, I had told her, "Don't be shy," but as time went on, her aggressive nature became more apparent. Cooking had always been my task, especially since Rachel was not good at it. If she doesn't like the meal, she would push the plate away, saying, "I told you I can't eat this," or she would grumble about wrinkles in the laundry I had folded. Even so, I had always tried to keep a quiet smile on my face, so as not to make waves, because she was the woman my son John had chosen. But after my husband died, Rachel's attitude became even more extreme, and it was exhausting my spirit.
Catherine, you're home all day today, right? Make sure the bath is ready when I come back.
Rachel left through the front door without looking at me, saying those words. She goes out with friends on a weekly basis. From the beginning of her marriage, she did not do much housework or childcare, was only concerned with her appearance, and often spent a lot of money. She was very sociable, and made acquaintances in many places. There were many times I suspected her of infidelity when she was younger, but John always believed she wouldn't do that, so I never pursued it further. After dropping Rachel at the shopping mall and returning, I was surprised to see John carrying a box of chocolates.
Oh, this. Rachel said she's giving them out at her reunion next week.
Really? All of these?
Rachel says she has her pride. She doesn't want to be seen as struggling with money because we live with her parents. Sorry, just let her be.
Of course, it's okay. I understand. Sitting in the chair, I felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness. After a while, I took the shopping list Rachel had given me and went out. My familiar shoes felt heavier than usual. Perhaps due to my age, I often felt a dull pain in my knees with every step. Yet, imagining Rachel's likely snide remarks about wasting gas, I gently stroked my knees, urging my heavy feet to persevere. Returning home with shopping bags in both hands, sweat beading on my forehead, I set down the packages in the entrance and stretched my bent back. Then, Logan appeared.
Ah, Grandma, welcome back. I thought you weren't here, so you were shopping.
Logan looked at the bags I brought back, pursing his lips slightly. Since Logan, the only son of John and Rachel, started working last spring, we had seen less of each other. Though we lived together, he was probably busy with work, not returning until late at night and leaving early in the morning. Moreover, he would dress up and go out on weekends. It was rare for Logan to be home during the day on a weekend. Before I could take off my shoes, Logan had taken the shopping bags to the kitchen and began putting things away quickly. Glancing sideways, I sensed a joyful atmosphere in Logan's expression. Did something good happen? Logan smiled as he carefully placed eggs from the pack into the fridge.
Actually, then someone I want to introduce. I'm thinking of bringing her home next week.
As I processed his words, I listened intently, realizing my grandson had reached such an age. Someone you want to introduce, could it be, maybe?
Maybe, Grandma. There's also something I've been thinking about a lot.
Something you've been thinking about?
Yes, I can't talk about it now, but I'll surely tell you someday. For now, would you meet the person I want to introduce?
Excited, Logan made me smile unwittingly. I was curious about what he had been thinking about, but more than that, I was interested in what kind of woman he would bring home. We had lived together since he was little, but Logan had never brought home a girlfriend before. Maybe his absence from home since starting his job was because he was dating, I concluded to myself. For the first time in a while, I forgot the usual unpleasantness and started cleaning while humming lightly. Of course, I had informed Rachel and John about this, but John only muttered about marriage, and Rachel seemed uninterested. On their next day off, Logan brought home the woman he wanted to introduce. Rachel had asked me to clean up in front of the house, and while I was watering, an unfamiliar car pulled up, which made me a bit wary, but then I relaxed seeing my grandson waving with a smile from the driver's seat. The car was a rental. Perhaps he had gone to pick her up in a rental car, which made me internally smile, thinking Logan must be quite smitten.
Grandma, this is Anna.
Seeing the happy face of my grandson introducing the woman beside him, I couldn't help but smile. Anna, Logan brought with him, was a pale-faced, mature-looking woman who smiled quietly and greeted me in a small voice, perhaps nervous. I quickly ushered them into the house. For the introduction, Logan had brought her, and Rachel seemed in a good mood, asking the two how they had become acquainted. At the table set for 4, Rachel and John sat facing Logan and Anna, while I was in the kitchen preparing tea for everyone.
Catherine, please serve them tea quickly.
Rachel's mood had turned sour just minutes after being in a good mood. Because Logan had first told his parents that Anna was pregnant. I was so surprised that I was speechless. The pleasant atmosphere from minutes ago froze in an instant, with Logan showing a seriousness I seldom saw in him. Rachel showed some displeasure at the fact they were having a shotgun wedding.
We really want to make this work.
We may be immature, but please allow us to marry.
The two earnestly sought parental approval for their marriage. As a grandmother, I felt it was unnecessary to say anything and watched silently, but I was moved by their positive attitude. Watching Logan pleaded earnestly in front of his parents, I felt tears forming.
Of course, we support your marriage. It's better to marry soon for the baby's sake and have a peaceful mind.
Thank you, Dad.
Logan said with a smile, looking at Anna. Rachel made a blatantly disgusted face, waving her hand in front of her face.
Shotgun weddings are so tacky. Can you explain how this happened, Anna?
Anna was taken aback by the unexpected question.
Well,
She mumbled, looking down at the table. Logan quickly put his hand on her shoulder.
Times have changed, and this kind of marriage isn't unusual anymore. Besides, we have our farts and are determined to do our best.
Logan, you proposed marriage in a hurry after hearing about the baby, didn't you? Was it a well-considered decision?
It was a serious relationship considering marriage, just that we hadn't found the right time, and the baby provided a good opportunity for us.
Just because there's a baby doesn't mean you have to marry, right, Catherine?
Suddenly addressed, I let out an "what?" as Rachel directed a sarcastic smile at me. I remembered a recent TV feature about single mothers we watched as a family. Indeed, having a baby doesn't necessarily equate to marriage, but I felt that wasn't the point here. Yes, indeed, just because there's a baby doesn't automatically mean marriage. Logan's face fell for a moment. I had anticipated that reaction. So, I organized my thoughts before speaking, something I later wanted to boast to Logan about. But, you two are choosing to move forward because of the baby. Regardless, it's a decision made by Logan and Anna together. It's not something anyone else can oppose. Rachel, shouldn't we just support Logan and his decisions? Everyone present might have thought it was just a careless statement from an old woman, but Rachel just drank her coffee in one gulp.
Catherine, please prepare more coffee.
After passing the cup, she crossed her arms and sighed.
Well, opposing it would be pointless, I guess. So when exactly do you plan to get married?
Oh, we want to do it soon, considering Anna's health.
I see. So for us, it's like finally stepping back from parenting.
Rachel said this thoughtfully, then turned to face me in the kitchen.
We're going to live with family from now on. So can our unwanted housekeeper please leave?
Excuse me.
Now that my son is getting married, we want to live with just our close family.
I was taken aback by Rachel's sudden words, and both Logan and Anna were left with their mouths open in surprise.
Once Logan's child is born, they will live here for a while. The baby's night crying might bother you, Catherine.
No, I'm fine with it. In fact, I want to help if I can.
But I see no advantage in living with someone who's likely to need caregiving soon. You're no longer needed. So, can you leave?
I felt heartbroken but managed a brave smile, not wanting to worry Logan and his family. At that time, I didn't take Rachel's words seriously. However, day by day, Rachel's efforts to drive me out became more overt, frequently saying, "Please leave soon." When I talked to John about it, he just looked troubled and remained silent. What shocked me was that Rachel was managing almost all of my late husband's estate, including the house. My husband, a doting father, had left everything to our son, John, meaning I practically owned nothing. And John, being under Rachel's influence, left me stunned, facing the loss of both home and property. What should I do now? I muttered while looking through old albums with my late husband at night. He was always gentle and never angry, just a calm person. I wondered if his nature had allowed Rachel to become so domineering, feeling like the root cause lay with both my late husband and myself. Months passed in this oppressive atmosphere, with Rachel's harassment continuing daily. I couldn't leave, enduring everything silently. One day, while I was showering, the water suddenly turned cold. Worried it was broken, it seemed Rachel had turned off the water heater. Thinking she didn't realize I was bathing, I turned it on again, only for it to be promptly turned off. When I asked her not to turn it off while I was bathing, she yelled, "It's a waste of electricity." Then I resorted to washing with the bath water, but soon, Rachel started draining the tub after her use, forcing me to wash in cold water even in winter. I was distraught and spoke to John, who weakly suggested, "Maybe bathe when Rachel is out." I sighed deeply, dismayed by his timidity. Rachel kept telling me, with a sneering laugh, "You should find an apartment and move out soon." I felt helpless against her words. Amidst these depressing days, a piece of bright news arrived today. Anna had given birth to a healthy baby. For a moment, Rachel and I joyfully celebrated together, both with tears in our eyes.
If only you would leave the house soon, I would truly be happy.
Rachel suddenly said with a cold look, after the shared joy. I doubted her character at that moment. Glancing at John, he appeared indifferent, purposely focusing on the newspaper's front page. Due to Rachel's insistence, Logan and his wife stayed in the family home, but Rachel, who had wanted to live together, showed no interest in caring for the baby. I did what I could to help Anna, who, despite being overwhelmed with caring for the baby, always expressed deep gratitude.
Thank you so much for everything.
Don't worry about it. You're going through the toughest time now. I'll do anything I can to help, just like a grandmother should. Those were my genuine feelings. After a really busy few months, Logan said to me without any premonition,
I have something important to discuss.
"Can't we talk about it here?" I responded while cooking dinner, not stopping my hands as they chopped the ingredients, waiting for Logan to continue.
I want to talk just with you, Grandma. There's a place I want you to come to this Sunday, without telling Mom and the others.
My hand holding the knife paused. Without telling Rachel. As I turned to Logan, he had a subtle, happy expression, reminiscent of the secretive, pleased faces he used to make as a child when planning surprises for me and his late grandfather. Logan had always been close to us. And looking back, maybe Rachel felt that her only son's affection was being taken away by us. which might have been unpleasant for her. Perhaps Logan realized that being with Rachel meant I was too intimidated to speak, and he understood that. I felt touched by his kindness, and my affection for my gentle grandson and his wife grew even more. Next Sunday, Logan, Anna, and the baby took me to a newly built condominium complex, a short 10-minute walk from our house. As we walked, Logan shared that he had purchased the condo before the baby was born, encouraged to live with his family. I was astounded by his decisiveness in buying it without consulting Rachel and the others.
Sorry to make you walk, Grandma.
I need to keep my legs strong. Besides, this distance is nothing for me, I replied, patting my thin legs, though I felt pain in my knees even after just a short walk, deciding not to mention it. In a room of a brand new condo, there is a simple piece of furniture and cardboard boxes in the corner of the room. It seems to be the belongings of Anna, who used to live alone. Logan made coffee in the kitchen as if he was accustomed to the place. While Anna put the baby to sleep in another room, Logan, with a solemn look, started, "You know." I felt the ticking of the clock on the wall resonate unusually loud.
Won't you live with us?
His sudden proposal startled me. I almost dropped the mug I was holding. Logan looked at me earnestly. Thinking it was a joke, I smiled weakly, but Logan's gaze drifted off distantly.
I've always hated the way Mom had been treating you since I was a child.
Well, your mother is a bit strong-willed.
But you're always told to leave the house, and Dad never stands up to her. I can't bear to see you treated so poorly by Mom anymore.
I thought you were going to say something else, but that's not necessary.
Do you remember when I first said I wanted to introduce Anna? I mentioned something I had been thinking about.
I recalled him saying something like that. It was a while ago, but it left a strong impression on my memory because of the way Logan said it, with the implication that he was determined to do something upon his marriage.
I've been loved and cherished by you and Grandpa since I was little, and I loved you both so much. But I always felt Mom was very rude to you too, and I've wanted to help you ever since I became an adult.
Logan, did you really think that way? Leaning forward with resolve, Logan looked intently into my eyes.
Let's live together. There's no need for you to suffer alone in that house.
Speechless, Anna quietly returned from the other room and sat next to Logan. She had been listening from the next room and looked at me solemnly, understanding the conversation.
Logan has shared this with me. If you're okay with it, could you live with us?
What a kind offer. I'm truly touched, but I don't want to intrude on the life of a newlywed couple like you.
It's not an intrusion. We need your guidance in parenting, and having you live with us would be a great support.
And apparently Anna, too, had been harassed by Rachel a lot, and had developed a feeling of dislike toward Rachel. She had been taunted about her shotgun marriage, and had been yelled at to quiet the baby during nighttime crying fits. When Anna wanted to visit her parents' house after giving birth, Rachel retorted, "So you don't like being with me, I get it," making Anna repeatedly explain herself in frustration.
We're asking you, please, can you live with us?
Logan and Anna both pleaded at the same time. Silently looking down at their faces, I felt tears streaming down my face. Thank you. At that moment, no other words came to mind. And so, it was decided that I would live with Logan and his family. Of course, this news would soon reach Rachel's ears. As soon as I agreed to move in, Logan promptly informed Rachel and John. Something I had asked him to do. I was certain Rachel would strongly oppose it. Telling myself this was my final battle, I left Logan and his family at the condo and returned home, opening the front door. Rachel, who had called me into the living room as soon as I got back, started yelling furiously.
What's this about, Catherine? You're not seriously considering living with Logan, are you?
No, I'm thinking of accepting Logan's kind offer.
You can't be serious.
Rachel scoffed. Next to her, John frowned, looking troubled.
It's absurd to think of moving in with a newlywed couple. It's clear you'd be a burden to Logan.
Yes, I was worried about that too, but they both have accepted me. I want to honor their feelings.
What are you saying? John, say something.
John, who had been silent, looked at Rachel with vacant eyes, seeming completely drained.
Rachel, I want a divorce.
What? I thought you were talking about something else.
I can't take it anymore, this life.
Wait.
The usually calm John raised his voice, causing Rachel to flinch. He stood up, confronting Rachel with a stern look.
I can't continue with you. Your treatment of me is one thing, but what you've done to Mom is unforgivable.
What the heck, John? Don't start yelling now. We're talking about Logan living with Mom, right?
Mom will live with Logan. That's settled. Now it's about you and me. I can't live with you anymore.
Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden?
I've tolerated your behavior since Mom had been putting up with it. But if she's moving out to live with Logan, it changes things. It's our issue now. I've wanted to divorce you for a long time, with all your suspicious behavior and alleged affairs since we were young.
I didn't do such things.
Rachel, unusually unsettled, darted her eyes around. John had always been gentle, but as a child, he was untamable when angered. Rachel probably had never seen John angry. He tended to prepare meticulously to confront someone when angry. John carelessly pulled a large brown envelope from his work bag and spread it on the table. It was an infidelity investigation report from years ago, clearly proving Rachel's affairs without even needing to read the details. Rachel sat down, dumbstruck. John said nothing more and walked to his room. I noticed the living room curtains fluttering. The window was open, and I felt a soft breeze. I wondered if our embarrassing conversation had been overheard by the neighbors, and held my temple. Rachel, I can't say much about you and John, but you two need to have a serious talk. Rachel remained silent, just sitting there. After refusing to divorce, Rachel took it to court, but the infidelity investigation was the final blow, and the divorce was finalized. I heard through the grapevine that Rachel remained aggressive after the divorce, gradually pushing people away and leading a lonely life. By the time the divorce was finalized, I had already been living with Logan and his family for 6 months, helping with the great-grandchild's care and feeling happy every day. Then one day,
Grandma, Dad is here.
returning from a walk with the great-grandchild, I found John sitting solemnly in the living room. It had been half a year since I had seen my son, and he looked somewhat healthier. After putting the great-grandchild to bed, I smiled at John. "Getting more sleep now that you're divorced?"
Thanks to you, I can sleep for 8 hours.
John said this with a brightness I hadn't seen before. I remembered my son always had this innocent smile, even if he had aged and grown a beard, reminding me of his younger days and making me chuckle. "So, what brings you here today? You're not going to say you want to live with us, are you?"
Well, that's actually why I came. Of course, I'll contribute to the new home expenses.
That's only right. You've learned to manage your finances properly after the divorce.
I've already discussed it with Logan and Anna. I plan to buy this apartment with the inheritance left by our late father in a way that they agree with. Now, I can take care of you, Mom.
John was never weak, just timid by nature. His decision after the divorce was a result of careful consideration about his future. Looking at my son, grandson, Anna, and great-grandchild in turn, I closed my eyes. I saw my late husband's image in the back of my eyes, smiling gently as if to say, "Isn't that nice?" What's nice about it? I went through so much trouble. If you had lived longer, I might have been happier. But then I reconsidered. My current happiness was thanks to Logan and Anna, who had wished for it. My gratitude for these two was beyond words. Suddenly, the great-grandchild started crying loudly, and I quickly went to the crib, lifting the child into my arms. After a few gentle rocks, the great-grandchild settled comfortably and fell asleep in my arms.